Hey guys, I'm Dinesh, CEO of CallFire. Today we're going to discuss some of the political marketing strategies used by CallFire customers. If you didn't know, CallFire is in the virtual call center business. This puts our software and web interface at the forefront of many conversations regarding political phone banking software in the United States. During each election season, we experience double, sometimes triple the virtual call center usage we see at any other point in the year. So our solutions team is obviously very adept at consulting with political marketers to design these virtual call centers, as well as to design powerful telephone surveys, notification campaigns, and so forth that relay critical data to campaign managers. So we're going to start out by talking about a few political strategies that we saw in 2010, and then finishing up with some case studies so you can see how people are actually using CallFire's technology to execute these political campaigns. So the first thing we saw in 2010 was just more creativity. Candidates began developing their persona. Candidates like Meg Whitman used her position as a CEO with eBay to really position herself as knowledgeable in budgeting and policy. We saw that smaller campaigners were using a very fresh voter registration data. And the better the data, the better your reach rate, which is essentially the percentage of people who listen to a substantial part of your message over impressions. It's similar to a click-through rate. We saw more candidates advertising themselves on Google and Bing. So if you are in California, for example, and you were to search for California governor race, you would find ads from Meg and from Jerry Brown. Another thing we saw more and more of, and CallFire did this as well, is we were doing site-targeted advertising. So Politico.com, HuffingtonPost.com, the political section of CNN.com. All of those websites actually were very expensive to advertise on during that time because a lot of the candidates were buying those ad spaces. Smaller races were making more of an effort to hire, not to hire, but to utilize their volunteer base from home. So they were making voter outreach calls using their home PC and their home telephone, and that data was being collected by the campaigns themselves. We saw then using this data from telephone surveys and from social media surveys as well to make decisions. So if you're marketing predominantly in a red county, for example, but you hit a blue-leaning a pocket, a small community, you have to make sure that you change your marketing message so that you hit the issues that are important to them, which brings us to our next point. We saw an even greater attention to tailoring message communication by age, location, gender, and political affiliation. So if for example, you're targeting a telephone call to a 60-year-old Republican female, the issues that you discuss in your message are far different than the issues that you're going to discuss to a 27-year-old, Democratic male grad student, for example. One thing that we saw a lot of buzz about, which and certainly many of us experienced, was the Google surge or the network blast. So in the days before an election, campaign managers would actually buy all the ad real estate in a specific geo-targeted area so that you would be inundated with ads from their candidate. Very effective. It can get a little annoying, but there's really it's tough to ensure that impressions aren't disturbing your voter base, but it is very effective. And of course, keep it simple, stupid, which means keep your message simple and keep your call to action very clear. In the case of telephone marketing, a 30 to 40-second message generally works best, with the option to press 1 to learn more if the listener desires. Twitter studies indicate that click-through rates largely are affected by your call to action. So both in telephone calls and in your online copy, you really want to be careful about what you say. And advertisers who push products or services often use call to actions like click here for a free trial or learn more. Click here to learn more. And in the dozens of political sound files that we've personally listened to, almost all of them have a similar call to action. Press 1 to donate now, or press 2 to listen to more of my candidates or our candidates' value proposition. We actually published a few blogs blog articles on this, methods to making a more successful voice blast. If you're interested, just go to callfire.com/blog and search for political. You'll find it at the top. We're going to very quickly discuss some case studies of organizations that use CallFire in their get out the vote efforts, and examine how CallFire really fueled campaigns on the national, state, and local level. In 2008, MoveOn.org, which is a progressive political action group, backed Barack Obama's presidential bid. They had 4.2 million members. MoveOn had thousands of volunteers dispersed throughout all 50 states. So they were looking for a cost-effective way to organize their volunteer group and simplify the phone banking reporting that they had in place already. And essentially what they were doing is they were manually collecting a lot of this data. In the past, they also had a call-in phone number where you would record the outcome of your banking as well, neither of which proved highly effective for them. So they partnered with CallFire to build an interactive voice response system, otherwise known as an IVR or phone tree. And it's built on a voice XML platform so that volunteers could call in and report their data through an easy-to-use telephone survey. So CallFire's reporting platform was less time-consuming than traditional phone bank data collection and far more nimble. And so with CallFire, MoveOn could view multiple campaign results in real time. They could export the outcome data via API, and they can adjust their strategies as needed in real time. And so, Adam Rubin at the time was quoted in saying, "It has been a big challenge for us to figure out how to track the efforts of our members around the country. When we have 10,000 volunteers who need to report in on the same day, CallFire's IVR system is a breakthrough solution for us. CallFire helped us get the system up and running in a week, and it's been very reliable. It just works, and we can concentrate on other things." That same year, a hotbed issue was rocking California politics, which was Proposition 8, a proposed statewide ban on gay marriage. So Equality California actually launched NoOnProp8.org to fight that proposition. Initially, NoOnProp8 had approximately 10,000 plus voters / volunteers that were ready to phone bank on their behalf, but essentially no call center infrastructure. So teaming up with CallFire just seemed to make sense. They essentially built a large-scale cloud call center in less than 3 days. It was one of our most successful campaigns, and it executed in a very short amount of time. At home or local volunteer hubs, volunteers use their own cell phones to connect to the CallFire system, and because the cloud call center streamlines the dialing process, volunteers were able to skip bad phone numbers, busy signals, and calls that went straight to voicemail. They could even use CallFire's Smart Drop feature to press a button and it will leave a pre-recorded message on the answering machine, allowing them to move on to their next call almost right away. So these features essentially allowed their phone bankers to reach more people in a shorter amount of time. During that short amount of time, approximately 3 days, the Cloud Call Center powered about 641,000 phone calls to voters across California. And even though NoOnProp8 was essentially, it was ultimately defeated, it became the highest funded campaign of any California ballot initiative, and even across the country with the exception of the presidential contest. But you don't have to be a big power player to benefit from CallFire. For example, Thomas Kennedy, he's a Citrus County, Florida school board member from District 1. He emailed us in October with an email that said, "CallFire got me elected." It was a very cool email to get because we seldom don't hear from these candidates. They're too busy partying after they use CallFire to win. But in October 2010, he won in a landslide. He got 60 out of 61 precincts in the county. He essentially used CallFire's voice broadcast by uploading a list of local registered voters. He recorded a 1-minute message that was just really spot on, and he was himself very, very impressed at the speed that the calls were being processed. CallFire can send out calls at 50 calls per minute by default, and during election season, or when there's a vote coming up the next day, we can actually get calls out at speeds of around 1,000 calls per minute. So while his opponent focused mostly on direct mail, he focused more on social media, print advertising, and phone calls. And he actually was quoted saying that it was the phone calls that stuck in voters' minds. That's always good to hear, and it's a great case study to show how CallFire services are so easy to use and quick to deploy. Candidates and causes, both big and small, can utilize these phone surveys, these virtual call centers, and get out the vote reminders. We're even doing text message marketing now, which is proving to be very, very effective. You can use all these tools to get out the vote and get out their message just before election time. So I hope this was really helpful to anybody doing political marketing this season. Definitely put CallFire to work for you, or any other virtual call center technology. And if you want to learn more, just check out our website or add us on Twitter. It's @CallFire. Talk to you soon.